Welcome back to Buffalo Bob Sports. I am your host, Buffalo Bob, and today we're going to be grading all 32 NFL teams from F to A+ on the free agency period and the signings they've made. And yeah, I think it should be a fun video. Free agency's been pretty crazy and some big names getting moved, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Also, before we get into this video, guys, I would like to just let you know, if I don't go over every single player your favorite team has signed in free agency, I'm only going off of the big signings. If your team in free agency signed a third string safety or something, I don't know about it. So I'm not going to be covering that, just like the bigger household names or just, the things that are hitting the media that everybody knows. So that's what I'm going to be covering and going over today. As of the time of this recording, it is still only day 2 of free agency, so there could be a huge signing. Aaron Rodgers could go somewhere, and I just don't have him in this video yet as the time of this recording. So if you're wondering why I haven't broke down that type of news, it's because I'm recording that before this is day 2 of free agency. So for the Buffalo Bills, the biggest signing we've done so far is Joshua Palmer. Now, Palmer seems to be a decent wide receiver. I haven't watched too many Chargers games, but I've heard of his name. He seems to be a decent player. I'm starting to watch more YouTube clips of his highlights and whatnot, seeing his stats. Seems to be a pretty good player, so I'm pretty excited about that. Unfortunately, we have let Mack Hollins walk. He signed with the Patriots. Happy for him. Go get his money. But we do lose a big locker room presence in Mack Hollins, so that is unfortunate. We've released Von Miller. I know that hasn't really been a signing, but it's just kind of in the free agency market what we've done. So we released Von Miller, but it was time. He was getting old, injuries, and we owed him money, so it was time to move on. I like the Josh Palmer signing. We also signed a defensive end or outside linebacker from the Los Angeles Rams. I believe his name's Micah Hoyt or something like that. Don't really know too much about him. I know we got him for around $7 to $8 million a year, I believe, so not too terrible of a contract. I think it's a 3-year deal. Not really sure who he is, but I'm not going to shit on the signing because, you never know. People like Jordan Poyer. I never heard of Jordan Poyer until we signed him. Micah Hyde wasn't the biggest household name in Green Bay. Come to Buffalo, and things just seemed to work out, and it was a good fit for him. So hopefully it works out, but as of now, with no bias, I would say with Josh Palmer, the DN from the Rams, and letting go of Von Miller, I'd have to give Buffalo a C+. So I like it so far. Literally, as I'm recording this video right now, the Buffalo Bills have just acquired Joey Bosa on a 1-year, $12 million deal. I was literally just talking shit about Joey Bosa, but I don't know. For a 1-year deal, I'm not mad about it, and it's only $12 million a year. So I think we were paying Von 18. I think at one point, I'm not sure. Von Miller, but 1-year, $12 million deal. It replaces Von Miller, I guess, and brings in a veteran presence if we get somebody in the draft, so I guess I kind of like it. For the Miami Dolphins free agency period, they have signed Zach Wilson. I believe it's a 1-year deal as a backup for Tua Tagovailoa. Now with his Tua's injury history, I think it's a good idea to bring in a young, capable quarterback. I know Zach Wilson's had ups and downs, but for a backup quarterback, I think Zach Wilson's a solid option. The Dolphins have also just signed Ashton Davis, safety from the New York Jets. I think it's a solid option. Now, does it replace Javon Holland? I don't think it's the same caliber player, but at least nonetheless depth. But he could be a solid starter for a year or two for Miami, so I don't hate the move. I think it was pretty smart. And I believe they got James Daniel as well, the guard. I know he was a Steeler for a while, and I want to say maybe a Bear or something. I know he's moved around a little bit, but Miami seems to be trying to patch some holes. Still got the draft to come, but for free agency for Miami, I would say it's pretty solid so far. I'll give it a B. Now, moving on to the New England Patriots. They have been very, very busy, big spenders in free agency, but they've had a lot of cap space, so why not use it? They signed Harold Landry from Tennessee, Robert Spillane, the linebacker, Morgan Moses, the offensive tackle, and cornerback Carlton Davis out of Tampa, all of them on 3-year deals. So right there, it was a good bit of money, but they did acquire Josh Dobbs for a backup in QB depth in that QB room in New England for a 2-year deal. So that could maybe make Milton tradable, maybe get some assets for the draft. Who knows? But I like the idea on picking up Josh Dobbs. You can never have too much quarterback depth with the NFL and injuries and all that kind of stuff. I believe the biggest signing, though, for the New England Patriots is Milton Williams, fresh off of the Super Bowl victory with the Philadelphia Eagles. The edge rusher is just landed a huge 4-year contract for about $100 million. Might have been like 104 and change or whatever, but $100 million. They're finally starting to put some pieces around them, so I guess we got the draft to come and still more free agency, but so far, New England is probably the biggest winners of free agency, in my opinion. I would say A+ for New England so far. Moving on, we have the New York Jets. The only 2 big signings I've seen basically was a 2-year deal, I believe, for Justin Fields. About a $20 million deal annually for Justin Fields. Not bad. Right now, I think he might be the only quarterback on their roster, at least that I know of, that's even really notable for the Jets. So at least you got a quarterback going into the season, at least. Got a 2-year deal for him. Not crazy amount of money, but $20 million a year. You get to see what he is, see if he's going to be maybe your QB of the future. And the other big signing I saw for the Jets really was Andre Cisco, the safety from the Jaguars. I know it's only 2 players as of right now, but it's 2 impact players, 2 starters, so for the Jets, B+. Moving on is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Free agency wise, signing wise, I believe the only thing I've seen that they brought in was Darius Slay from the Eagles on like a 1-year deal. He's in the later stages of his career, but still a really solid corner on a 1-year deal. Help boost that secondary. So I like the move. Other than that, they've lost a lot of pieces. Najee Harris out the door. They've had some offensive linemen leave. But I don't know, not really hold that against them. This video is mainly just talking about the signings that they have made and grading off of that, not necessarily the cuts or releases they've made. But they did make a trade, which isn't technically free agency, but trading for DK Metcalf. I believe they gave up a 2nd-round pick. And then they also extended him and signed him a new contract for 5 years, $150 million. Happy for him. Great. Get the money. That's awesome. If it was for Buffalo, I don't know if I'd want to pay him that much. But hopefully it works out for Pittsburgh and can pair him up with George Pickens. And whoever is going to be the quarterback for the Steelers, I'm sure will love having another elite weapon and DK Metcalf to throw to. But as far as their free agency signings go, it's just Darius Slay as of now, so I'm going to have to give it a C+. Next up, we have the Baltimore Ravens. They, again, haven't really been super active. I'm not really sure their cap space situation. I don't know if they have a lot of money, but so far, the Ravens, all they've signed really is DeAndre Hopkins that I've seen, so I'm going to have to probably go with a C. Moving on, we got the Cleveland Browns. Again, haven't been very active. I don't know really their cap situation. I know they probably don't have too much money with. They just extended Myles Garrett, obviously elite player. I believe they made him the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, paying him $40 million a year for I believe 4 years. Sweet. I mean, good for them, I guess, keeping their only kind of like relevant player in the league. I guess their only superstar on the team. Other than that, I don't know. I also want to give them an F because they traded for Kenny Pickett. I believe it was a 5th-round pick and Dorian Thompson or whatever, like their backup quarterback. I mean, it's not maybe the worst trade ever, but like, why? What do you see in Kenny Pickett? I mean, you traded for Kenny Pickett. I would not give a bag of Skittles for Kenny Pickett. I should give you an F just for that. But I don't know. I guess in their eyes, they're trying to upgrade a quarterback. I don't know. Other than the Myles Garrett signing, like re-signing him, but that's not really like, you didn't bring in a free agent. All you did was trade him, and that's not even free agency either. You're just trading. I don't know. I'm going to give Cleveland an F. I'm sorry. You trade for Kenny Pickett. You're getting an F from me. I'm sorry. Last in the NFC North, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't really know their cap space situation, but I haven't seen them sign anybody. I know they franchise tagged T. Higgins, re-sign Mike Gesicki, but bringing in free agents, bringing in pieces, I don't think they've done anything. So I guess I'll give it a D just because they're re-signing their players, but bringing in anybody, nothing. So I'm going to have to give them a D. Moving into the AFC West, let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, bringing in free agents. I haven't heard of them signing anybody. They traded away one of their better offensive linemen in Joe Thuney to the Bears for, I believe, a 5th or a 6th round pick or something like that. They re-signed Nick Bolton, the middle linebacker. They re-signed Marquise Hollywood-Brown, the receiver, for a year. So I guess kind of trying to keep pieces around. Trading Joe Thuney, I get you had to pay him, so you just got what you could get for him. I thought maybe they could get a little bit more. Kind of the same deal with the Bengals. I'm not really sure the cap situation, but they're not really bringing anybody in, just kind of re-signing some pieces and made a trade. Kind of traded away one of your best offensive linemen, so I'm going to unfortunately have to go even a D minus. Moving on to the LA Chargers, signed Khalil Mack, bring him back for bring him back on a 1-year deal. I mean, this guy, you want to talk about aging, but also production. I mean, he just seems to be productive every single year. Doesn't matter what team he's on, what defensive scheme, defensive coach, doesn't matter. The guy just seems to produce every year, so I love that for them, bringing back Khalil Mack. I mean, they got to the wild card round this past year, trying to keep the pieces as much as possible that are pieces worth keeping. Great on the Chargers for keeping Khalil Mack in the building. And they also signed Najee Harris. I believe that's the only notable signing that I've seen for them. Obviously, Josh Palmer left for the Buffalo, but, you know, it is what it is. But they brought in Najee Harris, and they also, again, they just didn't overpay him. It's like a 1-year, $8 million deal, 1-year prove-it deal for Najee to see if it's going to be a fit and, you know, a good tandem for the Chargers offense with Najee Harris. Honestly, I like the offseason so far. I wish there was more signings and whatnot. But again, I don't know the cap space situation for them. But bringing in Najee, not overpaying him, bringing back Khalil Mack on a 1-year deal, I like it. I'm going to give him a B-. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Free agency signings, I haven't seen a whole lot, but they did trade for a quarterback. They traded with Seattle and got Geno Smith for, I believe, a 3rd round pick. Starting quarterback, definitely an upgrade over Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell and whoever else they had playing at quarterback. Other than that, they basically just gave a huge contract extension to Max Crosby to keep him in the building. Again, smart. It's the Raiders, but that's one of the smart things they've done. But honestly, signing free agents and bringing them in, I haven't seen anything. So even though the trade was smart and all that, it's not free agents, so it's only fair if I keep it at the same. It's going to be a D. Finishing up the AFC West, we have the Denver Broncos. They've only made 2 big acquisitions, but they were 2 very impactful players they signed, and they're both from the San Francisco 49ers. So first off, they signed safety Talanoa Hufanga. Definitely fucked that up. I apologize. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, so he's a good safety. I want to say he has a Pro Bowl or 2 selection under his belt. Still pretty young, very good safety, and they've been looking to replace and fill the void of Justin Simmons since they released him about a year or 2 ago. And I think they finally have done it with Hufanga. So very, very solid player there. And the second player they grabbed was Dre Greenlaw. Now, I believe they got him on a 4-year deal. I'm not really sure, but he's a very good linebacker. Plays outside linebacker. They might move him to inside linebacker. They got Cody Barton. I know they have some decent linebackers. Nick Bonito with that outside linebacker kind of pass rush, but you know they're going to be playing obviously different positions. But I love the signings. 2 impactful players, 2 starters, 2 Pro Bowlers. So that's awesome. Filling 2 huge needs and voids. I love it. For me, the Denver Broncos are getting an A. For the Houston Texans, signing-wise, all I've seen was Braxton Berrios. I mean, he's a decent slot receiver and can help in return game for special teams. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. And they traded away Laramie Tunsil, one of the best tackles in all of the NFL. Not really sure why they did that, but yeah, other than that, Braxton Berrios was the only real free agency signing. So D, moving on. Moving on, we have the Tennessee Titans. I haven't really again, I haven't really seen a lot. The only thing I've heard is they signed left tackle from the Steelers, or right tackle, Dan Moore Jr. It was like a huge contract. The only reason I really heard about it was like a 4-year, $80 million deal for a tackle that, like, I'm not trying to shit on him. I've just never really heard of him until this point. So I would think it's an overpay, but I'm not really sure. So, I mean, nonetheless, they're getting a starting tackle, I'm guessing, right? Would be a starting tackle for them, which I'm pretty sure their offensive line's been atrocious for like 3 years, so, or more maybe. So, I mean, getting a starting tackle, I would hope, I guess it's pretty good. So I would say C- for the Tennessee Titans. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I have not seen them sign anybody. All they've done is let people go or trade people. I believe they traded, I saw that they released Christian Kirk, but then I also seen that they traded Christian Kirk to the Texans for like a 7th round pick. So I'm not sure. I'm going to say they traded him for a 7th round pick. Came off an injury, didn't want to repay him. Cool. But again, I guess it's not really free agency, I guess, technically. Released Evan Ingram. And that's really all I know. So they didn't sign anybody. I guess F. Finishing up the AFC South, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They have probably arguably the worst secondary, maybe in the entire NFL. So they went out and they've addressed it so far. They signed corner Chardavius Ward from the Niners. He was solid for the Niners. He was pretty good with the Chiefs. So signing him, I believe, to a 3-year, $60 million deal, beefing up the secondary that really needs to be revamped. I mean, they got Kenny Moore, but he's aging, and he's like the only solid secondary person they have. They also went out and got safety Cameron Bynum from the Vikings, I believe, on a 4-year, also $60 million deal. So like I said, they're really trying to work on the secondary that very, very badly needs to be redone and revamped. So those are 2 great signings for them. And they also went out and got a quarterback in Daniel Jones on a 1-year deal, I believe $18 million. I mean, honestly, you can't really be mad at it. Now, is Daniel Jones the greatest quarterback? Obviously not, but he's a solid backup, might become your starter. You never really know what's going on with Anthony Richardson and tapping out and getting tired and hurt. And still, I don't think he's played a full season yet. I think this is year 2 or 3 for him. He's always missing games, so it's solid to have a good backup. I believe Joe Flacco's a free agent. I believe it was only a 1-year deal, so getting a solid backup, a capable backup in there with Daniel Jones, I love it. Backup QB, adding additions to the secondary that needed to be added very badly. I love it what the Colts are doing. Hey. Moving over to the NFC, let's start out with NFC East and the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what it is with the Cowboys. I feel like every offseason they don't sign anybody or do anything. But they extended their wide receiver KaVontae Turpin. I mean, he's a pretty solid he's a really solid return specialist. Kick return, punt return. He's probably one of the better ones in the league. So I guess extending him, keeping him there is pretty good. Step in the right direction, I guess, for Dallas. They've only made 1 signing that I've seen in free agency, which was Javonte Williams, the running back from Denver. And for once, the Cowboys actually got a running back. I would say it's like a B to B plus tier running back, and they didn't overpay for him. A 1-year, $3 million deal. Maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys learned from the Zeke contract to not overpay running backs and stuff like that. So, I mean, honestly, it's 1 player that they've gotten from free agency, but he's a decent running back, and that running back room is just probably the worst in the league. And they got him on a 1-year, $3 million deal. That is a great deal to get him on. So honestly, I know it's only 1 player, but I would say C+ for the Cowboys. Staying in the NFC East, we have the Washington Commanders. I have not seen them sign any big free agents or anything. I haven't seen anything for free agency signings. Re-signings, I believe they re-signed Zach Ertz, and they also traded for Deebo Samuel. Just a little bit of a rant here. I get you only trade him for a 5th round pick, and you pay them like a 1-year, it's a 1-year deal or whatever. Dude, I think Deebo Samuel is the most overrated, maybe even player, not even just receiver, might be the most overrated player in the league. I don't think he's great. I think he had, like, the last time he was good was like 2021, and people just overhype him, in my opinion. I think he's dog shit. But keeping on a positive note here, free agency signings, though, they haven't really signed any free agents that I know of, so unfortunately it's got to be an F. Philadelphia Eagles, they just re-signed people. I have not seen any free agency signings. They just re-signed and extended Saquon Barkley for like another 2 years. Obviously, great move. The Giants, just what the fuck, the Giants. We'll get to them in just a minute, but they extended Saquon for another 2 years. Great move. Extended linebacker Zach Bond for 3 years. Great, but also, like I said, just something to say about each team. But free agency wise, they haven't done anything and brought in any free agents that I know of. So F. And coming in last in the NFC East, we got the Giants. The New York Giants, they, I believe, only made one signing that I've seen that was like of note, and it was Jevon Holland, bringing him in from Miami Dolphins. Jevon Holland is a very good safety. I've seen him a lot. Obviously, being a Bills fan, watch him play the Dolphins a lot. Jevon Holland's very, very good, very productive safety. So that's the only signing I've seen from the Giants. And I know it's only one signing, but it was a very good signing, a starter, and a high productive player. So I'm going to give it a B. B for the Giants. So we're moving on to the NFC West. We're going to start out with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, they've been pretty busy, just not within bringing in free agents, but just in general. They traded DK Metcalf to the Steelers for a second-round pick, released Tyler Lockett, longtime receiver, so obviously they're trying to get a fresh start with that receiver room, get younger at that position. They've extended and re-signed their linebacker, Ernest Johnson. But for the one big free agency signing that they've made, I've only seen one free agency signing, but it was big, and it was Sam Darnold for a 3-year, $100 million deal, around $33 million a year. It's only one signing, but anytime you get a starting quarterback with your signing to start for your team, and he's actually, I mean, for his career, obviously it hasn't been great, but last year people were even putting Sam Darnold up there for MVP voting. So you get a high caliber quarterback that comes in, and that's your one signing. I don't see how you go anywhere but an A. You get an A for me, Seattle. Moving on, we have the Arizona Cardinals. They've made 2 acquisitions in free agency that I've seen, and one is a big one. They have signed Josh Sweat, the DN from, again, the Philadelphia Eagles, on a big 4-year, $75 million deal. For them, I think it's a great move. You need to take big swings and try to get someone on the edge to get after the quarterback. They haven't had a real defensive end to consistently do it. I know they had J.J. Watt a couple years ago, but he was dealing with injuries and in the later stages of his career. I think the last, really good pass rusher they had was honestly probably a young Calais Campbell, and it's been years. So I like the move for them. I like the signing, and then they also just brought in Jacoby Brissett, a veteran, proven backup. So I like it. Honestly, for just Josh Sweat and bringing in the backup, I would say I'm giving them a B+. Arizona gets a B+ from me. Moving on to the 49ers, I haven't seen them sign anybody. They're trying to do everything they possibly can to create cap space to give the contract to Brock Purdy. So, they're cutting ties with everybody. I believe, obviously we've seen Drake Greenlaw, he's in Denver. Hufanga, Denver. Devon Hargrave released him. Elijah Mitchell's gone, I believe. He went to Kansas City, I think. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, the Niners, they're just doing nothing but getting worse and losing pieces. So F. Moving on to the LA Rams. I've only seen them made one big move, and it was getting wide receiver Davante Adams from the New York Jets. He signed a 2-year, $45 million deal. Look, Davante Adams, he's getting old, but he's still super productive. I think they're going to get a great 2 years out of him, and basically doing Rams fashion, just go all in. Just from the one signing of Davante Adams and the 2-year deal, I'm going to give the Rams a B. Moving on to the NFC South, let's start out with the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Bucks, I've only seen one signing that they've done. Notable free agent would be Hassan Reddick from the New York Jets moving over, 1 year, $14 million deal. He's a great pass rusher when he wants to play. You know, the things in New York with the contract extension and the holding out and all that stuff. But if he plays, he's a pretty solid edge rusher. Just the Hassan Reddick signing on a 1 year deal. I'm going to say B for the Bucs. Carolina Panthers, I believe they signed Trayvon Moehrig, safety from the Raiders. That's like the only signing that was kind of like notable that I've seen at least. Starting safety, so can't complain about it, filling a void. And then they extended J.C. Horn for like another 3 or 4 years, like the $70 million or something. I think it's like one of the highest paid corners or the highest paid corner in the league. So, but he's a super young, stellar, good player, so can't complain about it. But for agency signings, yeah, Trayvon Moehrig, that's about it, B-. New Orleans Saints, I've only seen one big signing from them as well, and it's going to be Justin Reed, the safety from Kansas City. He was great in Kansas City. He was pretty good in for the Texans as well. So yeah, I mean, he's a great starting safety. Can't hate it too much. Also, they just re-signed Chase Young for a couple, I think like a 2-year deal or something like that. But yeah, free agency wise, bringing in a starting safety, B-. Finishing up the NFC South, we got the Atlanta Falcons. I have not seen they signed anybody. All they did was release Grady Jarrett to my knowledge, so F. And finally, last but not least, the NFC North. Let's start out with the Green Bay Packers. I have not seen that they've signed anybody of note. I really haven't seen any activity from the Packers, so F. Minnesota Vikings. Free agency signings, they just signed, I believe today, Jonathan Allen from the Commanders. Stud D tackle. Guy's a monster. So, filling holes. Guy's a great player. Stud D tackle, like I said. Just gets after the quarterback. Nasty player. I believe they brought him on a 3-year deal for like $60 million or something like that. Love that signing for Minnesota. And then they also re-signed Aaron Jones for a 1-year deal, and they also extended Brian Murphy, their corner, too. But as far as free agency goes for them, Jonathan Allen, we're going to give him a B. And last but not least, finishing off the video, we are ending out with the Chicago Bears. They signed Drew Dalman for a 3-year deal from Atlanta. He's a capable starting center, so can't be mad at that. Also traded for Joe Thuney. Joe Thuney just being one of the better offensive linemen in the entire league. Trading for him. Again, I think it was like a 6th or 7th round pick. Love to see that for Chicago. And then I want to say I heard they also traded for Jonah Jackson. He was a guard, I believe, for Detroit. If that's true, right there, that's 3 starting offensive linemen for Chicago. So Brian Poles is doing his thing, trying to get their young quarterback some protection. Love to see it. Also, they signed Grady Jarrett to a 3-year deal for like $40 million, helping bolster the front 7, beefing up the defensive line with Grady Jarrett, veteran guy. I'm going to say it's a B+. B+ for the Chicago Bears. Alrighty guys, so that is going to be it for today's video. I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video on this channel. I posted like 2 videos trying to get it started. Haven't made a video in a while, but today just was like, I want to make a video. Free agency. I might try to make a video about the NFL draft, maybe do a mock draft video as well. I'm not sure. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment any teams I missed any players on, or if you agree or disagree with my ratings and my gradings for the free agency period for your favorite team. And I don't know, something fun. Just maybe comment somebody you would like to see your team sign in free agency that still is a free agent. But like I said, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We out, baby.